should be it. We're preparing to go live now, and we are live. Greetings, family. Wow, it's Wednesday already. It's Ujama Day already. Yes, it's that time of evening, day, depends on where you are in the world. Sister Shanice is in the house alongside our beloved brother, teacher Mitree. And we have got a live session for you today. Really excited about the conversation and the presentation that we're going to be having today. It's going to be a great one. I've been having, a bit of a dialogue over the last couple of strong, some say with our brother in the house, and he's got a really interesting perspective. It's a new African paradigm, a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at the world through African lenses. So really excited about this. Welcome, Teacher Mitree. How are you doing?
Thank you. The one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. The one who comes to learn is especially always welcome. Positive energy and creation energy to you, my sister, to your audience and everybody out there. I'm happy to be here. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Absolutely delighted to have you on this platform. You have been a guest of mine before on my other channel, my sister channel. I don't think you've been a guest on this channel, so or you may have, but a little while back. So really excited about introducing you to the Sister Shanice Show audience. So family, as you come through the house, you know how we do. Let us know that you're in the house. Let us know where in the world that you're viewing us from. Welcome. And to those of you who already have my book, The Remarkable Accomplishments of Asian African Civilization, to those of you who have gone to YouTube and gone to Amazon and bought it, thank you so much for supporting the works. To those of you who have yet to do so, we are for. Don't forget it, no man. Thank you in advance. Thank you so much. Buy it as a gift. Give it to young people. Make them aware of some of our remarkable accomplishments as Africans. We have tens of thousands of years, possibly hundreds of thousands of years of wonderful history. But how much of it do our young people really know? And it's our duty and our responsibility to make sure that they have knowledge of that history, is it not? So some of us are out there doing the works. We just need you to support it, okay? I've got another book while you're there on King Offa, one of our Black African kings of Britain. Get that book as well, packed with a lot of background history about our presence in the UK as well. And also, I've got a freebie for you. If you go to my Gumroad site, I've got a free ebook that you can download. And that one is a tribute book to none other than Marcus Messiah Garvey, someone who was so influential in my life. When I came across and started reading the works of Marcus Messiah Garvey, I'm like, wow, this man is phenomenal. This man is awesome. He was a man with a vision. He was determined to ensure that he did all that he could do to uplift our people. He's a shining example of what we can do when we put our mind to it. And, I was so inspired by him. I'm like, I've got to write about him so that I can use him to inspire our young leaders of tomorrow. So please do go ahead, family, and get that book. Download it free of charge. You can get it from my Gumroad site, sistershanice.gumroad.com. That's sistershanice.gumroad.com. I'm going to put my guest on the spot. I don't know if he knows about my book, but beloved, have you downloaded a copy of that book as yet? Have you read it?
The Marcus Garvey tribute?
Ebook, yes.
Yes, I did. I was I enjoyed it so much. I think it's a tribute that belongs in schools, though. I was wondering, like, why you don't pitch it to the schools in Jamaica to kind of get them. It's a wonderful way to introduce children to the contributions of Marcus Garvey. I was like, how long, how much research did she do? I really loved it. I really loved it. Thank you for that,
Thank you for taking the time to read it, and great idea, maybe pitching it to the schools in Jamaica. I hadn't thought of that actually. I was thinking of getting it out to young people on the continent. So if there is anyone in the house from Jamaica who's watching and would like to get a copy and send it to some of the head teachers in Jamaica, please do. It would be phenomenal to have that book in the schools in Jamaica. Thank you for that.
I agree. It was really a good tribute, and I hope like someone picks it up back there and they're in a position where they can say, okay, let's get this book into the youth them so they can read it. It will be a contribution to the society, definitely.
Oh, thank you so much. You heard it, family. Teacher Mitree downloaded it. He read it, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So please do the same, and let me know what your thoughts are about it as well. Okay, family. Looking forward to getting some feedback from you. And if you're in a position to pass it on, please do. So, Teacher Mitree, I know that you've got a really interesting presentation for us today. Thoroughly looking forward to it. And you know what? Let's kick off nice and early. So without further ado, family, let me introduce you to our beloved teacher, Mitree. He is a regular guest on my radio shows on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi, the only de-brainwashing station. He delivers conversations around Black psychology, the African psychology, the organic African paradigm. He's given us, he's throwing out the Eurocentric perspective and the lenses through which we see the world. And he's replacing those lenses with an African world view. Without further ado, a man who's doing great works, none other than Teacher Mitree.
Thank you. Positive energy and creation energy to you again, to the audience and to our ancestors. And today we are going to be talking about the glory of the African women, wherever they might find themselves, the glory of the Black woman, wherever she might find herself in the world. Doesn't matter what continent she's on. She has a glorious origin. And I think that without the knowledge of this glorious origin, then the glorious future that she's supposed to rebuild, we might not have a way to get back to that future. So thank you for proposing this. I remember I did a 23-minute rant and I was talking some stuff and that stuff got real, So, and then, good thing we got to bring it to a point where we can talk about it. So first thing, I'm going to pay tribute to the mothers. And I'm going to play a clip called The House of Africa United. This is a clip that I'm going to put it on the screen in a second here. Just give me a sec.
Remember to optimize. There should be a button that says optimize audio. Be sure to click that. So that
optimize for video clip, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Is there one that says for audio?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, click that and it should come through loud and clear.
Okay. So this is a, introduction. This is a tribute to the mothers, the African women. You're going to see a lot of women in this video. You'll recognize them. Their names are next to Okay.
Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful tribute. I like that.
Yes, you saw all the mothers in there, and this
Yeah.
is called the African lotus. They're blue African lotuses because the blue lotus comes from Kemet. It is the lotus that grows in Africa, so it's a tribute to all the blue lotuses of Africa. You see wives of Marcus Garvey, Winnie Mandela, all the women, all the freedom fighter. That's their tribute. We spend
And
so much
tears to
time
my
talking.
eyes. Yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I mean, just seeing them all lined up like that, just brings tears to my eyes, makes my heart stir,
And I'll play it again. If
beautiful.
you're gonna cry, I'm gonna play it again. So,
That's
um,
one.
it's a tribute, and we do so much for the men who did this and did that, but we never take the time to put the women into that same category. So for me, I'm a son of the women of the African continent, so I do follow that worldview where the women have to take that place. So that tribute is very special. If you look at how much energy is in that tribute alone, it's unimaginable.
Yeah, I think I felt that energy. Yeah, just, you did a brilliant tribute there. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So now today we are going to be talking about the political African woman. Now, the political African woman, who is she? The political African woman she has many titles, but you saw her images on that screen. That's why I put all those women there. Those are the political African women. Now, those are the ones that are not, those are the ones that are seen. Those are the ones that are known. But what about the ones who are not seen? What about the ones who didn't get the fame? What about the ones who um, are left to the pages of history? They didn't make the pages of history. What about them?
Mm.
So we need to get back to that point. And why do I do this? It's not because I'm a feminist or anything like Westerners have. No, it's because I am a teacher and I recognize that women are the first teachers. And I recognize that before a man learns from a man, he learns from a woman first. So it is something that we have to begin our journey with. The women we are going to learn from, we have to prepare them. We have to build them. We have to strengthen them. In Kemet, there was this philosophy that the four legs of the bull were the women. So the bull that stood, the bull of the house of Memphis that stood, the legs of that bull was the women. That's why the pillars of the temples have the face of Hathor, right? If the temple is the bull, then the pillars that hold the temple up are the women.
Wow.
So in South Africa, you see the women wear those round caps that are shaped like pillars, right? Mm-hmm. That's where that comes from. So it's very important that we get back to that. So I'm going to put my presentation on the screen, and we're going to jump into it right away.
Okay.
So, let's see if I can get, I don't want to make the screen to full screen mode, but this should be enough. So the women in the background, you can see them.
Put it on slideshow mode though. And then slideshow mode, yeah. Because otherwise we can see all the slides down the side.
Okay, let's
you put
see
in
if I can.
slideshow mode, you can still just reduce it on your screen. Just hit escape and it should reduce it on your screen.
Okay, but you can see the full picture on your side?
Yeah, but I'm now seeing I'm now seeing the slides down the side.
Okay, let me just put it in full mode, and then if I need to change, our escape. So
yeah,
we have
that's fine now.
Yeah, so the women in the background, these women are called the Daomi. They are very well known. The Westerners call them the Amazon, but these women are called the mothers. In Benin, they are called the mothers, Minos. Now, if you see these women, they all have a sword on their waist. They have a staff, a possible spear, and they're all in formation. Why are these women standing in formation? Why are they so militarized? Right? This is the political woman of Africa. The political woman is a protector, a defender, a soldier, all of these things. Right? Now we recognize the men so much more than we recognize the women. We give the men more room and we acknowledge them more, but we seldom see that the women are like they have a history of warrior culture in Africa. And this is just an image to show you what we are going to be talking about. So this is the image of the lotuses of Africa. You recognize Kempa Vida over there, and you recognize the Queen of Madagascar. You recognize Harriet Tubman, and so many more. The mother of Shaka Zulu, and the mother from Zimbabwe, Winnie Mandela, all these different women, you recognize them. So it is a reminder that we spend so much time focusing on the men, what the men can do for Africa, what the men can do for Africa. But if you don't know the history of Africa, if you don't know who taught the men what the men know, then you wouldn't know how to redevelop Africa. You wouldn't know where to start again. So let's start from the political woman. This is a political woman from Dahomey. This is a political woman from Tanzania. This is a political woman from Ghana. This is a political woman from the Ivory Coast. So this gives you an idea of what the political woman was. Who is the political woman? The political woman is someone who is in charge of her society. She is a full participant of her society. So she's not just the keeper of the family. She's not just the mother. She's not just the daughter. She's not just the sister. She is the sovereign. She is the economist. She is the spiritualist. She is the intellectualist. She is all of these things, or she was all of these things. But because of, how Europeans and their Western agenda is, they target the women first and for destruction. And once the women are destroyed, then they know that the children that are going to be produced, the children are going to be destroyed in that process. So it's always aim for the women. And once you attack them and you destroy them, you are guaranteed to destroy the society or weaken the society. So that's why in the organic African paradigm, we put the knowledge of the African women, the education of the African women, we put it at a higher place. Now, what was the title of the African women? What were their titles? These are some of the titles I took out of the hieroglyphs. Okay, all of these titles comes out of the hieroglyphs itself. Now, if Sister Shanice, if you already know that I talk a lot about the hieroglyphs, I tell you a lot of stories about it. So these are just some of the titles that come from the hieroglyphs. The Great Queen of the West, that's a title. The Great Mother, who was represented as the vulture, and she wore the ash crown. Her crown was made from ashes. Okay, so her crown was molded out of ashes, and she wore that crown. So the crown symbolized her as a prophetess of the entire people of Africa. That's who she was. She was the prophet of the whole people of Africa. So before there was even a Moses, before there was an Abraham, before there was an Isaac, before there was a Jacob, before any of these people were calling themselves prophets, she was the first prophet on the planet Earth, this woman. There was no prophet on this earth before her. So that is why she is on the pyramid walls and she is carved as a vulture. She is carved as a vulture because she is the first prophet and she is known all across Africa. The Yoruba people know her. The Igbo people know her. The Mexican people know her. The Chinese people know her. The Hindu people know her. Every people on planet Earth, even people in Costa Rica, know her. So it is very, very sad that nobody's able to connect who she is. That nobody's able to bring her back to the face of the African culture. Now, she is called the sovereign builder, right? She symbolized the prophetess of Africa, and she possessed the greatest perception at the zenith. So when they say the perception of the zenith, right, it means the eye that sees from a 360-degree angle. So the eye that sees from above. So she is the eye from the zenith, the eye of the zenith. So she's called the sovereign builder. She is called Mut, or mother. And then she who speaks, her voice is the highest wisdom of the stars of the western heavens. So her voice is the highest wisdom of the stars of the western heavens. The mother of language, she's called the mother of language, divine language. She's called the mother of law of the land. She's called the destroyer, who rides a lioness or a lion. She's called the great sovereign of life. She's called the sovereign of eternity. She's called the wrapper of the body, the sovereign virgin mother. So she's called the sovereign virgin mother as well. So Mut, or all her different avatars, she has different incarnations and avatars. And these are some of her titles, okay? Now, I'm going to play these YouTube videos, and I need to play this video for all of you, because if I tell you the story, I'm asking you to believe me. But when you see that the story is all over the internet, and I just gather all of them in one place, you'll get a sense of what the African woman represents. So, Sister Shanice, if you permit me to share these videos, then I will do so. Okay.
Yes, do go ahead.
So before I play the video, I'm going to let all the people that your video I'm about to play, I'm not using this video for any negative reason. I'm using it for educational purposes. So please be kind, and this is for the good of the African people. I only took African videos. So I'm asking you for your understanding, and I promise you I will call the name of your channel so that the people go there. So that way you don't feel cheated. All right. Okay, then. So let me begin let me click the first link. And when it comes up, I will share it. Okay. Because if I'm already sharing, I don't want to click the link and then it takes me. Okay,
no, you're not sharing at the moment. You came out of share mode, so yeah, you need to go back in share mode now. Oh, what a powerful
Is it going to take me directly to the link if I click it from share mode?
Yeah, we have it on your screen. Have it up on your laptop.
Okay.
And go to share screen, Windows, open it up there in the same way that you did your presentation.
Okay.
Optimize audio again if you need to do so.
I got it. All right, I got you. I'll put the first video on, and I will optimize the. Yep, it's on. The optimize is on. So
Brilliant.
This is called the Somali channel, Wealth of Humanity. It's a Somali person. Go subscribe or watch their channel. And whoever you are, I'm using your videos, so please don't be upset. All right. So let me start the video.
Many ancient cultures used the vehicle of mythology and folktales to carry their cultural wisdom and knowledge to future generations. Somali people originate from the Horn of Africa, one of the oldest regions on Earth to have been inhabited by humans. And as many ancient cultures, they've embedded their history and collective wisdom into the stories carried by their people till today. Somali culture is an oral culture where knowledge, tradition, and information are passed down from one generation to the next through the spoken word rather than through written text. Oral tradition reinforces a sense of cultural identity by grounding individuals in their ancestral heritage. Through storytelling, songs, and rituals, people connect with the experiences values, and wisdom of their forebears, enhancing their understanding of who they are and where they come from. Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, was famous for his critical views on relying on the written text to carry true knowledge. He believed that writing could weaken a person's memory and understanding because individuals might come to rely on the written word rather than internalizing and actualizing knowledge within themselves. Somalis developed a prolific oral tradition with storytelling as its central element. Memory techniques were crucial for preserving and transmitting information accurately. People developed mnemonic devices, patterns, and repetitive structures to aid memorization and recall, and we can see some of those repetitive patterns today in common folktales known as Sheeko Hariruyin. Let's explore some of those foundational stories to better understand the wisdom Somali ancestors embedded in folktales and what our modern society can take away from it. Starting with cosmological tales, there are numerous Somali folktales describing how the universe came into being. One such story is that of Daldalal. In the beginning of time, the sky hung so low over the earth that a person standing on the ground could touch it with their fingers. Then the sky protected the people and animals on the earth from the cold wind and the heat of the sun, giving them shelter and warmth. Then one day, 2 housewives started pounding millet with a mortar and pestle in the courtyard of their huts to prepare meals for their husbands. Every time the women lifted up the long wooden shafts, they inadvertently hit the low sky roof, piercing so many holes through it. Then the sky became very angry with the careless women and shouted to them, "Hey women, stop hitting and holding me through. Don't you know I give you protection from the cold winds and the heat of the sun?" But the women paid no attention to the protest of the sky and continued grinding their millet. The sky could no longer stand the pain caused to it by the women and receded further and further away from the earth to where it is now. What people call stars are those gaping holes the women had pierced through the sky with their pestles when it hung close over the earth. The sun shines above those holes, sending its light beams through them, and that is what makes them twinkle and look bright to people on the earth.
And because of these star holes, the sky is called Beldalal, the whole thing. Similarly, what people know as clouds is but a beautiful girl who carries home a bucket full of water, which she draws from a water well. As she walks, the bucket rocks and sways about her legs, and the water in the bucket spills over and drains through the star holes in the Beldalal.
It is this water which people on earth call rain.
You must
As the
try
water
Miro.
turns for the
Before
star-
Miro, work got lost across different tools. Monday, Jira, Slack, Trello, Asana. There's a
Okay, sorry about that. So, the first video I shared tells you the Somali version of the creation story. And you hear the women's role in the creation story. They didn't mention any men. Did you hear any men being mentioned in the origin story?
No,
So-
I didn't.
The origin story starts with women, and these women put a hole in the sky and it caused the sky to move further away. Now,
Yeah.
today I told you a story about Nut giving birth to the 5 children. And that 5 children caused the 5 days where the moon was, it pulled itself away from the earth, causing the earth to expand, the earth atmosphere to expand. So the moon pulled on our planet's atmosphere, and it caused the planet atmosphere to pull away from the earth. Before, according to our ancestor, the earth atmosphere was closer to the ground. If you go to Papua New Guinea, if you go to the Polynesian islands, they all say the sky was close to the ground. In Kemet, they say Geb and Nut were close together. So if everybody is saying the same thing, then that is an African truth. That means that we don't need to go looking further than that, right? We need to understand it scientifically, but we don't need to go looking for anything else. So the proper understanding of that text is that the earth was a younger planet, and the atmosphere had not formed to the degree which, so the moon was closer, and as the mountains begin to spread out, the magnetic energy pushed the moon away. It pushed the moon 5 degrees away from the planet Earth, giving us 5 days. Those days are called Asar, Aset, Nephthys, and Set, and Horus the Elder. So those are the 5 days that were added to the calendar. Now, this same story I just told you is in China. This same story I just told you is in Mexico. This same story I just told you is in India, and it's in Africa. So that gives you an idea that the African people, their story began with their women. It didn't begin with the men. You didn't hear anything about the men in that story. So let's go to the next story, and we'll go into another one again like that. And you'll see the theme about what the African woman, her role in this mythology. You'll see the theme. So
You know what they say about kids. They grow up so fast. Don't miss the Minnesota Zoo's annual tradition.
We lived in the heavens with Tuma, our god. One day he opened up a large hole in the clouds and gave us ropes to descend upon the earth. We arrived here in the valley of the Kibish River. While grinding millet, a woman broke the ropes by accident. The heavens closed up. Since that time, we no longer know where to find Tuma. Our enemies persecute us, and we no longer can seek refuge with him.
okay, so you heard that again, Sister Shanice. The women pounding millet broke the rope that connected the African people to the heavens. So that's 2 for 2, right? So they didn't mention the men breaking the rope. They didn't mention the men causing the heavens to go away. Nothing, right? So you get a theme of what the woman is in Africa now. You have an idea, right? So let's go for number 3. And as we go through this, you're going to start seeing the theme of these people we call the African. So
the first one was the story from Somalia. The second story was from?
It was from the Omo Valley in Ethiopia, the Omo Valley, the Suma people. They're called the Suma people.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. This one is, I got to go to 31 minutes and 37 seconds. And we're going to listen to another creation story. Let's do this here. Let's go to this one.
The only tribe.
Okay. Let me share it quickly. I have it on here. Let me share it. So this one is the Kikuyu people in Kenya.
Can I tell you a story? Get on with this. Get on with this. A creation story from the Kikuyu tribe. Kikuyu is one of the largest Bantu-speaking tribes in East and Central of Africa. Kikuyus make their home around Mount Kenya, also known as Mount Kirinyaga, in central province of Kenya. And Kikuyu is the only tribe, and perhaps the only tribe in Africa where the names of the clans are given the names of women. Yes, all the names of the clans of the Kikuyu are women names. Maybe the Kikuyus know something about women that the world needs to hear about.
Okay, so that's 3 for 3. So the Kikuyu, the entire tribe, all the whole population is women. So you're getting a theme of Africa now. There's no men. The men are not mentioned. You see? So we are seeing the theme. The men are not being mentioned in the story. They come later on, but the beginning of the story is all women. So if we were to take a time machine and travel back in time, we will come in Africa. Me and you will find ourselves in an Africa where the women will be in charge. And then the men will be protecting the women. They will be like soldiers, taking care of them, treating them like gods and goddesses. So this would be the type of Africa we would find if we go far back in the time machine. Now let's go to the next one. And so this one is creation story number 3.
Four.
Okay.
Oh,
Three
creation
different
story 4.
creation stories now, stories of origin. Now, and these 3 stories are different from the stories of origin, like the Bible. Other group.
When I was accepted to SGU, that was one of the greatest days of my life.
The faculty at SGU really,
which means that the environment has beheld, has affected the outcome.
I'd like to throw
John. We have had to traverse things that links you to. It is not happenstance.
Okay. So we'll listen
because
to this one.
there's no
cutting in and out. Yeah.
such coincidences because of the vast distance. So it tells me one thing, and it tells me clearly that these people must have encompassed this geographical expression at points, and then had to traverse and has expanded over time. Like the question of time frames overlapping.
Got a bit of a problem my end.
However,
I'm seeing a grey screen at the moment. Oh, here we go. You might want to start this clip again, Teacher Mitree.
Okay.
Yes, please start that one again for us. We kind of lost it a bit there, and it was
only sips in.
Really look at the details. Like you said, our father Abraham, you know, he was coming from the land of Ur. We, on the other hand, the Bantu, have a different storyline. We don't come from Mesopotamia or the other side of the Suez Canal. We, the Bantu Dengoni, are originally from the southern tip. We landed here. We appeared here. And us appearing here, now we are mixed with another group of people. Yes, they look like us, like you look like me. But if you really look, we don't look the same. If you really look at the details, nginguni mina. You understand?
I assume that means we in Nguni.
Yeah. Yeah,
me.
Mina, I'm Nguni. Yeah. I come from Umguni. Now, when you trace the history of Umguni and Umuntu, and you trace the biblical histories or the archaeological histories of Mesopotamia and those lands, the dates somewhere overlap. Somewhere. Now, when I say dates, I'm of the same school of thought as you. We don't have chronological dates. We don't have, this is the year 2023.
Please, before you continue, I would like to.
I need to fast forward a little bit so
I
we can get to the
introduced my name
point.
Okay.
Kubini.
You understand? So me and you would speak, but somewhere we wouldn't hear each other. There is this narrative. Now, I'd like to correct this. There is this narrative that says the Bantu come from the Niger, Congo, Benue region. We don't come from there.
No, you don't.
We are not even attached to that region.
No.
On the other hand, there's the narrative that says that we occupy pygmy land.
No, I disagree with that. I'll tell you why. Wasn't always small.
I have to fast forward.
Things that link the Bantu, the region, this pop now had affects who have been identified.
Let's reverse centuries for a bit.
Yeah.
I want to throw a spanner in the wheel.
Okay.
Origin stories. We have our indigenous origin stories before the white man told us about the Bible and God taking clay and creating us. We have our own traditional origin stories.
Yeah.
And some of our stories say, example, the group of people known as Batswana, Bapedi, Basotho, have a story that say they come from Khalowe. Khalowe Ntswana Tsatsi, Babituha Musimeng, meaning they came from a hole in the ground where the sun rises, right? And then you come to another group of people who are loosely known as Nguni, and not all of them are Nguni, but loosely known as Nguni. They say they come from Emhlangeni. Baphume Emhlangeni, they came from a hole in the sky, came down through a cord, which is the umbilical cord, and then they used, when they landed on the bed of reeds, they took one of the reeds and they cut that umbilical cord. So them as a nation came out of the bed of reeds. Now, one group says they came from a hole. Another group says they came from a bed of reeds. You get another group yet that say they came with the black snake. They came following a great black serpent through the waters coming from the sea. And then they got through the sea, they got into a big river. And then out of that river, people came out. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that one. Did you hear what he said? He gave 3 creation stories. And you heard the one where he said they came from a hole in the sky. Now, in Somalia, they say they put a hole in the sky. Then in Ethiopia, they say they came from a rope in the sky. Now, in Southern Africa, they say they came from a rope in the sky. So these people are telling the same story, but they think that they're not related. You hear him talking like, we're not related. Me and you don't have the same complexion. But he doesn't know there is another person in Ethiopia telling the exact same story who he's never met. He doesn't know. So you understand what's happening in Africa? Do you see the disconnect?
The only one that's slightly different is the one that talks about following the serpent through the river.
Serpent. So Kemet, Kemet,
has the serpent
Atum brought them on a black serpent to the Congo. The black serpent is the Black River. So it's not, no, the serpent is a river.
Yeah.
So it's not a snake in the esoteric language. Anytime you see a serpent, it refers to water. So it refers to water. So that water means the water of life, the water of consciousness, the water of the universe, right? So remember, Europeans say hydrogen, there's 80-something% hydrogen in the universe. And that hydrogen is this water which Africans call snakes. They call it, in their language, they don't have the word for waves and, how do you call it? Waves and particles. So they call it serpents, because snakes curves, right? Their body moves like the waves of the ocean. So if water is touching your, if you're sitting in the rain, I want you to look at your windshield. Every time the water hits your windshield, you're going to see snakes crawling down your windshield. If you see water on your driveway, you step out of the house, you see water, you're going to see that water move like a snake. You go to any rivers in the world, they all move like snakes. So that's what it means. They took the Black River and they came out of that Black River and they emerged into East Africa, Congo, or something that came out of the water. So these are the different stories, but they're all one story. The same story is found in Dahomey. It's found in Dahomey. The same story is found in different part of the world, in Dogon country, right? But the African people are disconnected from each other. They don't know these stories exist in other parts of Africa because of their limited interaction with each other. You see what I'm saying?
This is the first I'm hearing all of these stories pulled together in this way, Teacher Mitree. Wow, it's so interesting.
And I have more for you. I have more for you. You know, we still got time on the clock, so I'm going to impress you.
Hey.
So next one.
Everyone in the chat, I hope you're as impressed as I am with these creation stories. You know, I've never heard all of these creation stories being pulled together from different parts of Africa before. So interesting.
Ils savent que c'est très dangereux parce que dans le parti est de la région, environ il y a plus de 50 de gens ont été morts. Je suis 27 ans et je suis toujours célibataire. Il est très grave pour rester célibataire. J'aimerais me marier parce que la famille croit que la vie continue. Il n'y a pas d'enfants, il n'y a pas de dynastie. Le nom de ses pères a été éliminé. Pour devenir célèbre et pour rencontrer de nouvelles jeunes filles. Dans le village, il n'y a pas de ballon, il n'y a pas de vidéo, de musique. Les savent, c'est très important. C'est une opportunité pour rencontrer des jeunes filles et des jeunes garçons parce que le village.
Okay, so let's stop that one. But you see why they're riding the bull. So in this place in Madagascar, the men have to go and risk their lives wrestling bulls just to get a woman to look at them. Wow. Now, this is a culture that existed in Africa. You see how isolated they are. There's no football, no soccer, no nothing. So this culture has not been tampered with. So this was the original culture that existed in Africa. You see, that's why there's all that bull. That's why women wear the bull horn. Right? All these things refer to that what men had to go through to get wife and all these type of stuff. So Africa's culture is not lost, it's just disconnected from each other. There's no rope connecting all of it.
Well, the men are lucky today then, aren't they, Teacher Mitree? They don't have to be fighting bulls to get a woman.
Well, there you go. So, but you see the African women in that country. Men, literally 50 men died just trying to impress a woman.
Wow. Yeah.
What does that tell you? The power that they hold. There's places in Mauritania and other places where the women are the nobles. And the men are, the woman has two husbands. One of them babysits the kids, and the other one is like, take care of the other stuff, and she's a noble. She wears a purple robe, and she sits there. And these are cultures that existed in Africa before. You understand? So when I'm talking about the things in the organic African paradigm, people look at it like, you know, you're saying feminist thing. No, I'm not saying feminist thing. I'm saying things that actually were before it was taken over. And then when it was taken over, then the women got back in the background. And when they got back in the background, they lost their political power. Gradually, the descent from political power, gradually to the point now we are at, they have no political power. But what do they have? They have mating rituals, and these are the things that organic African paradigm has to come and fix, right? So let's go back one more time. And this time I will show you the woman who created the divination system in Africa, right? So let's find her video here. You will learn who created the writing, because you've been told that Tahuti was the inventor of writing. You've been told that Toph was the inventor of writing. So
this is Derek O'Father with the Medicine Shell, and today I'm going to discuss Nsibidi, the sacred and often secret language culture of what is now East Nigeria and southwestern Cameroon. Studying Nsibidi was a journey. Every route I took led to a closed door, and every stone I turned led to more questions. Nsibidi is a language of mystery, guarded by a secret society, but at the same time flourishing in our ancestral world. And from this example, you see the paradox in learn. Nsibidi is the language of contradiction. In its prime,
so it's covered up.
At the same time,
sorry that.
Its name from a word meaning language of dread. But most of the preserved writing we have from the ancestral era tells of stories of love, friendship, relationships, intimate scandals, and humor. It is the language of a secret society of men, but was first used by women. It is a...
Pause. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Secret society of men, first used by women.
First used by women. So even though the men inherited the language, but the language was first used by men. Remember the title of the women? When I started, I read off the hieroglyphic title of the women, and it says, mother of the language, mother who created the language, she who speaks the divine, right? So let's continue.
Dead language, though today its spiritual elements are more alive than ever. And upon digging further, something clicked and it all came together. And from there, I learned the full power, story, and gained a deeper understanding of what Nsibidi is. I also learned to write in the language, and from there it has become a part of my spiritual development. In this video, I'll reveal what I learned about Nsibidi that changed the way I view the script as well as written language as a whole, and how writing Nsibidi became a part of my own spiritual practice and personal growth in my journey through Igbo cosmology. But first, I'll share what Nsibidi is, how it works, how it is used, and then finally reaching the spiritual revelation that unlocked its secrets for me. Long ago, the people between the Cross and Calabar rivers learned that in order to keep themselves safe from the nighttime dangers of the forest, they would need to keep a fire lit. And therefore, when people would enter the forest at night, they would set up a fire. And around that fire, they remained safe to hunt, pray, and meditate through the night. For when the creatures of the forest saw the fire, they would run. From the trees above, something dropped before the people. And when the people saw what dropped before them, they ran, the same way the beast had run from their fire. These visitors were the Idiok. The Idiok were a baboon-like species that did not fear fire nor man, and in fact the presence of both brought them out of their hiding and into the camps and campfires of the visitors. So when people lit fires, the Idiok would emerge from the darkness, and the people would run back to the village, one after another, and another, until one village dared to hold still. This was the village of Ugwakim. For the people of Ugwakim were not afraid of apes, and upon staying still and observing them, the people of Ugwakim noticed something was different about the Idiok. The Ugwakim held their position and watched the Idiok, until after some time the Idiok began to write signs on the ground, which the Ugwakim did not understand. The Ugwakim also noticed that every time an Idiok would make a sign in the sand, it would also make a matching sign through hand gestures and body movement. Soon, the Ugwakim learned through observation that the signs on the ground meant the same as the signs of the hand. And after many nights, the Idiok taught the Ugwakim the sign language, as well as the scripted language known as Nsibidi. And from there, the people of Ugwakim emerged from the forest to teach the world of the new revelation. Nsibidi is a communication tradition that spans a host of cultures in the region between southeast Nigeria and southwest Cameroon. Its oldest known artifacts, the Ikom monoliths near the community of Alok Ikom, date back 1,500 years ago by most estimates. The monoliths themselves feature multiple Nsibidi concepts as opposed to sounds as we have in the phonetic systems. In a self-tell long form can communicate unit of an ideogram conflict. Conflict became violent. For further detail, I can a deeper examination of what has been preserved. For most of society, Nsibidi was not only accessible but in full use in the contemporary era, even going as far as being taught in schools until the breakout of the Biafra War. What these students learned was public Nsibidi, which featured symbols that told narratives connected to interpersonal relationships, business, and formal addresses for practical use. Use of Nsibidi was common enough in this era for over 500 known symbols of public Nsibidi to be common sight in the region before the outbreak of the war. From them, we gain insight into relationship scandals, court decisions, humor, and gossip, as well as business transactions of our ancestors. Public Nsibidi was used by both men and women, and likely primarily women as it made its way into Uli.
So you heard primarily women.
A symbolic art form for women primarily used in adorning homes, shrines, and famously in temporary tattoos that typically lasted 8 days. It is also important to note that all forms of Nsibidi were first revealed by the Idiok to women, and it was only later in history that men took control of its most powerful elements, forming a private wing of the language.
Okay, so I'm going to stop this one. So you get another idea into Africa's history. This is on the pyramid walls as well. So who is on the pyramid walls? I'll show you the pyramid walls now. So we'll take a break from the videos and I'll show you the pyramid walls, because I didn't want to show you guys these presentations and not be able to give you like a way for you to be able to grasp what is going on here. So this is Eritrea. In Eritrea, the capital city is called Asmara. And what is the meaning of Asmara? Asmara means they united, the women united the society. So according to the story, these villages were frequently attacked by clans from the lowlands until the women of each clan decided to preserve peace. The 4 clans must unite. The men accepted, hence the name Abarte Amsmara, which literally means the four feminine plural made them unite. So the 4 made them unite. Now, Sister Shanice, again, what do you see happening in Africa? It's not the men who unite the society. It's not the men who united the people, right? It was the women. So in this regard, it was because of these 4 women that there is a country called Eritrea today. There is a reason these people have a culture today. You see what I'm talking about here? It's this is what Africa was like. This is what a political woman does. A political woman, she is there to make sure that her society functions, takes the best path in life, right? So here we have another example of a political woman. This is a painting. They call her, she's not the African Mona Lisa because she's special. She's Mona Lisa has got nothing to do with her, and we don't need to use Mona Lisa as the pedestal. So this woman, Adi Tutu, Adem, I'm not going to even try the last name, but she is she's the daughter of the traditional ruler of the Yoruba people. So that makes her a princess, right? Now you see how regal the political African woman is? Can you see, just look at her in this picture. Does this woman look like, she looks like she's concerned with her society? She looks like she has political power, political responsibility. And this is what was very, very important to the colonizer when they come to Africa. It wasn't about defeating the men. It was about defeating the women first. Because once they defeat the women, they know the men will never rise again. They will be very difficult for the men to rise. So another political woman is Kandaiki. Everybody knows about her. And we hear about her description from Strabo. Now, I don't believe anything Strabo says, but I do believe the description he gave of her. He said the Queen Candace, or the Queen of the Ethiopian, he described her as sort of a masculine woman and blind in one eye. So what does that tell you? This woman lost an eye on a battlefield. She did not lose an eye wearing makeup. She lost an eye on the battlefield. So we have Queen Amina of Zazu, again in the Hausa state, and she goes on to become a political leader in the empire, right? And so as you see, Africa before, the modern system, the African woman's glory was very, very bright in Africa. It was, they were really in a good place. Now we go to Yenenga. Let's go to Burkina Faso. Yenenga was a legendary princess considered the mother of the Mosi people of Burkina Faso. She was a famous warrior for her father and the founder of the kingdom Dagomba. Now in the present day Ghana, the princess aspired to another destiny and decided to leave the kingdom. On the run with her horse, she meets a young hunter whom she has a child with, right? And the horse, is called Drago or something like that. Now, which means male horse. Then we go on to learn about her story, how she set up the empire and she set up the kingdom of the country we call Burkina Faso today. So then we go to Ivory Coast, Queen Poku. Another African woman flees from Ghana, right? You see, she leaves Ghana and flees because of a struggle between rivals or struggle for power. So Queen Poku becomes the leader of a breakaway group of the Mean Ashanti Empire, which she refused to join. Disagreement amongst the faction resulted in war. Poku led her group westward through a long journey, arduous, across the river. Legend has it she had to sacrifice her only son to cross the river.
Oh, wow.
Say that again?
No, I was saying you said she had to sacrifice her only son to cross the river. So I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, my God.
Yes. So you're seeing these women, right? These women have a dispute and they break away and go start an empire somewhere. The woman living with her father, she has a problem with being she don't want to be a wife. She don't want to be a maiden. So she takes a horse, goes to another place, starts a whole empire, a whole kingdom. There are people in that land today called Burkina Faso, the land of the upright people. You see the trend here. So when we talk about Africa's heroes, I mean, women are getting on horses, riding into another area and starting a kingdom. Women are throwing their baby in the river to appease the river spirit so the whole tribe can cross so they don't get assimilated into the Ashanti Empire. Things are happening in Africa. Women are losing eye on the battlefield. This was the Africa that existed. You see? Now, compared to the Africa we have today, Instagram models, everybody is so-and-so, right? You can see the difference.
We lost our way as women, based on the presentation that we're seeing today. Yes.
Okay,
different type of women are being held on the pedestals today.
Exactly. And who's holding those women on the pedestal? Who is?
The
A
media.
system.
Yes.
Yeah, a system that wants those women, because they're not trying to destroy the African men. They know the African man, you can destroy him as a child. All you need to do is destroy his brain, the source of his knowledge. If you destroy the woman, you're going to destroy him. He's not even going to get a chance to be anything else. So it is just, they target her. They're constantly attacking her. They're constantly doing things to her. Because you see these women get on a horse, go and start a kingdom. I mean, do you do that, Sister Shanice? Do you just wake up and say, I'm going to just go start a kingdom? Have you thought about that before? You're like, okay, I'm going to get on my horse and start a kingdom.
You know, and I'm hoping that, you know, the presentation that you're delivering is really going to wake up a dormant kind of spirit, you know, in many of us as women, so that we can begin to see our greater purpose and our greater destiny.
Yes. So yeah, just get on your horse and go start a kingdom, Sister Shanice. Just, you know.
Got to learn to ride a horse first.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I forgot all about that. So we have another woman again. So remember, in the video, we were talking about the women of the leopard society. The women were the ones who created the leopard society. You know, the people think that the men created the leopard society. The men didn't create the leopard society. The men inherited the leopard society and all the arts of the leopard society. Everything that the leopard society had to offer, the men inherited. So what does this tell you about African women, Sister Shanice? When they build something, who inherits it? Who inherited Burkina Faso today? Who's the leader of Burkina Faso today?
A man.
A man. So if you destroy this woman, what does the man inherit?
Not what we created.
Exactly. He inherits nothing, right? He's a vagabond because you destroyed the woman. Wow. So they inherited the writing system. The first male to get initiated into the leopard society, this is the person they call Tehuri. This is the man they call Tehuri. So everybody talk about Hermes, Thoth, Trismegistus. He was the one everybody glorified. Yes, he made a lot of contributions after he was initiated into the knowledge by the women. The women controlled the power. They ruled Africa with the knowledge of the secret arts, the writing, the martial arts, the bow and arrow, the weaving. They control all the powers. And Tehuri was initiated into the system. And he revolutionized the system, leading to what we call Kemet later. So do you see what happens when the African men and the African women work together, right? Is that the man cannot just skyrocket himself. You understand? The woman is the one who is going to lay down there's first steps for him, and then he's going to skyrocket after those first steps. So this is how, you know, people came to be admire Tehuri, but Sachet was the mother of writing first. You see on top of her head, what do you see on top of her head? You see this green plant on her head? What is that plant called?
A papyrus.
No, it's a palm tree.
Oh, it's a palm tree. Okay.
She's holding a palm stamp in her hand, and that was what they used to count. And the palm tree symbolizes the source of wisdom in Africa. It's to symbolize the source of wisdom, the source of knowledge, right? And what are the Phoenicians called? The Phoenicians, they are called the Phoenix people. The Phoenix people, Phoenician means palm oil people or palm nut people. So this is where Europeans they changed the name to, you know, Phoenician, and they steal the name, but the name is actually it has to do with the palm tree, the palm nut. You see? And that means it comes from the women. It comes from the women again.
And in what language is that? In what language is it?
They changed it to Greek. They corrupted it to Greek. I have the etymology here somewhere, and I will share it with you. But they kind of corrupted it, these people. That's what they do best, you know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't theirs to corrupt, but they managed to do it anyway. So the woman on the right-hand side, now this is going to be controversial a little bit for your audience. I don't know if your audience is ready for this, but I will tell you the story of Mary, okay? Now, this is going to be a little bit controversial, Sister Shanice.
That's okay, go ahead.
Mary,
don't we, audience?
in Kemet, they had something called the God's wife. So in Ghana today, there is a tribe, they have this man. He married this, you heard the story about the man marrying a 12-year-old girl in Ghana, something like that.
Yes.
Now, that marriage is not a is not a real marriage. The marriage is the girl is married to the god, the gods, right? She's being married to the gods and she's a virgin. She's put on a virgin stool to marry to the gods. That's the story. There's a woman named Mami Grace. She had a show yesterday and I watched the show. That's what it was talking about. Now, in Kemet, they had the wife, the god's wife in the institution. Who is the god's wife? She's the woman who rules the institution. So there are 4 women. They're called the 4 pillars of the institution, and they rule the entire institution. So one of them represents the north, one of them represents the south, one of them represents the east and the west. They represent the 4 elements, and they are the ones who govern the entire institution. So the man carries the name of their throne. You know, the man carries the name of their throne. So he's not really like people like, oh, the pharaoh. The pharaoh is a conduit for the woman's power. So the woman is the power incarnate, and then the pharaoh is power physical. So you know how I'm able to move my hands, right? I'm able to move my hands because of energy. So the woman is the energy into the pharaoh's body, and the pharaoh is able to hold his spear and protect the land. That is how the institution is. So the pharaoh protects the country, but the women run the economy, the institution of Kemet, the whole society, they run it, right? And the priests ensure that the women are selected, you know, and this is how Kemet was run. You understand? So it's not like this is why you have Queen Kandaki. This is why you have all these queens, because they were running the institution. This is why you have Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut, when she comes to power, she takes on her philosophy of the empire. Her philosophy was to fight against oppression, right? And who is the goddess that fights against oppression? Who is the goddess that fights for the freedom of the people? The goddess is called Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the protector of the oppressed, right? She is the one who lives at Memphis with the bull of Memphis, Ptah, or Apis the bull. Apis, you saw that bull, the man fighting the bull, right? The bull represents the authority, the strength, the power, the potency, the vitality, right? And the bull is called Muntu. Muntu means the man, the free man who protects the society. He is the free man who protects the society. Later on, Muntu gets to be changed, it gets diluted, and then they just call it a person. Muntu means a person or a man. But Muntu originally infer a protector, a bull who protects. Now, this bull can only protect with a philosophy, and this philosophy is called Sekhmet. And what is the philosophy of Sekhmet? The philosophy of Sekhmet is to protect the free will of the people. You see, the woman, she has a dispute in Ghana. She takes her whole people and she goes to another place. Why does she do that? This is Sekhmet. We call this Sekhmet, right? You see, Yanenga, she has a dispute with her father. She gets on a horse and she goes away. This is called Sekhmet, right? You see these women coming down to the earth and they break the chain back to the heavens. Sekhmet. All this is what Sekhmet is. Sekhmet is a power that once it is infused in the man becomes Muntu, the protector of the people, the pharaoh, the falcon, Horus. So you don't become a Horus, a free man or an ascended man, until Sekhmet imbibes you. You see? So then in Memphis, they have a son, Ptah, and Sekhmet has a son together. This son is called Nefertum. Nefertum is the initiation system for young men, right? When in Africa before, when young men would turn certain age, they have to learn how to shoot the bow and arrow. They have to learn how to use the sword and all these weapons. So all the men, all the young boys would be initiated into the military society. And who is the mother of military might? Sekhmet. So that is why Nefertum is the son of his mother, Sekhmet. That is why the lioness, her son is a lion. That is why Nefertum has a lion head, right? But Nefertum inherits the understanding of love, right? He's a god of love, right? And they teach African men, young men, how to love. They explain love, how to fall in love, how to cater to women and talk to women. There is a culture in Chad called Wadabe, where the men dress in makeup and then they do things so that the women can be attracted to them. There's another culture where men ride bulls so the women can be attracted to them. All this is called Nefertum. Nefertum is the culture of valor, where a man proved what the Europeans came and called chivalry. This was called, in Africa, this is called Nefertum, right? And a man gives a woman a Menat necklace. The Menat necklace is the necklace that is around the cow, you know? So that is what the necklace, it means beauty of the soul. So when a man falls in love with a woman, the beauty of her soul, he gives her a Menat necklace. And she wears it around her. And this is why you see in Tanzania, in Kenya, the women wear the Menat all around their neck. It means beauty.
Are these necklaces made from shells? What do they look like?
They are made from things women know. But I will show you. I will show you here so you can see what a Menat necklace looks like. So this is the Menat. You see this that she's wearing?
Yes. Oh, wow.
This is the Menat necklace. It means the beauty of her soul. So, so for a woman to wear this necklace, it means it is not the physical beauty of the woman anymore. This is talking about the beauty of her soul being reflected externally. So in modern culture, they fool our women and they say, we want beauty, external beauty. We want makeup. We want this. This is what makes you beautiful. No, in ancient Africa, that's not what makes you beautiful. What makes you beautiful is Menat. The beauty of your soul. So you see how all this colorful thing is? It reflects the beauty of her soul, this woman. That's what Menat is. You see all around their neck? This is the beauty of their soul. So this is what they're communicating to you, right? So
and
you
it's
see
the man that puts that around their neck as well.
You see that? Yes, because it's a marriage. It's a symbol of marriage. It's a symbol of marriage, right? So remember the men I told you that wear things and then they go and they talk to women, and then you know the beauty ritual that men do to impress women. This is it right here. So in this Western world, women are trying to attract men. But in Africa, it wasn't the way. Men were the one trying to attract women. You understand? So everything is going backwards. Everything is going insane in the world. You understand? So the red ochre, Sekhmet was the one who brought the red ochre. There was a dry season. Sekhmet is she represents the dry season. She represents the constellation Leo. So the constellation Leo is her constellation, right? And Sekhmet was called you know how in the middle of the Leo is considered a fire element or fire constellation, and it happens in the middle of July. And what is July? July is the hottest month everywhere in the world, right? So that's what she represents, that kind of power. So that's why she was called the Eye of Re, right? The Eye of the Zenith. Not just the Eye of Zenith, but she represents the power incarnation. So there's a story about where she is killing the people in the society, and then Ra, tricks her and gives her a river of blood or beer, and then she gets drunk, and then she stopped killing the people, right? The same story is in India. The same story is everywhere, and this story is in Kemet as well. So what we call the African woman is not just an ordinary woman. She is the cultivated, she has a cultivated martial nature, right? And she disciplines her sons, she prepares her sons to defend the greater good of the society, to defend the five truths of the society, which are the creator, nature, ancestor, Ma'at, and Ubuntu. So her son is called Muntu, and Muntu means protector and defender, adherer of the custom and law. So Muntu means a man who protects, defend, and adhere to the custom and the law of the land. A man who is called the double-edged knife. That's a Muntu, okay? So it's been translated to mean just a person. You see what I'm saying? The language has deteriorated over time. Now it just means a person. But it didn't always mean a person. It used to mean a cultivated man. So a man that had a duty to protect, to defend, to adhere to the customs and the laws. And then the man was considered a double-edged knife. So he could cut his enemies from both ways, or he could cut his own people. So in this, we have the mandate of the creator. Sekhmet is the house which protects the mandate of the creator, right? She is the one who protects the mandate of the creator, the free will of the people. So she protects the free will of the people. So what the Europeans call democracy, in Kemet, they don't call it democracy. They call it the free will of the people, right? So the free will of the people represent the people's rights, the people's, against tyrants, oppressors, and this is what Sekhmet represents. She represents the power of the people to remove any oppressor or any tyrant that tried to destroy them or oppress them. Any colonizer, that's what Sekhmet represents. She represents love to uphold justice, upright character, the free will of the people, and all of that. So this is what Sekhmet truly is, the philosophy. I remember one of that brother was saying today, he was saying everything in Kemet is a philosophy, but what he didn't say was that these philosophy, I know this philosophy. So Sekhmet is the cultivated martial nature into the martial elite. So martial nature means the man he can brawl. He's a fighter, he can brawl. But the martial elite, when they cultivate the martial nature, he becomes Muntu for the service, violence or fighting for the service of the African people. So Sekhmet is the power that a man used to fight for his people. So a man can only summon this power to fight for his people. That's what Sekhmet is. So it is the power to infuse the man's will and makes him indomitable, gives him a power, authority, it gives him duty, it gives him union, it gives him fidelity, it gives him responsibility to the free will of the people. That's what Sekhmet represents. To cultivate strength and physical embodiment towards the pinnacle of extraordinary. To cultivate intelligence, to cultivate strength, to cultivate science, to cultivate all the things that a man can be. This is all Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the power that a man can use, right? So women used to, they used to have this philosophy in Kemet where they call it, I told you, the Virgin Mary. And this, stand by, this, my mouse is acting up. I think it's tired now, but. Okay, so in Kemet, a Virgin Mary or a Virgin Mother was a philosophy there. The woman who guards the house, right? So there was this belief that this woman in her virginity was a source of power. You understand? The idea was that when a woman becomes enamored with a man, her mind will go from the top of the heavens to the bottom of the earth, right? So instead of her trying to, focus on the higher mysteries and all that stuff, she will now start focusing on the affairs of men, right? So she, I don't have to tell you, right? It means that she's experienced the world of pleasure. But before this women used to do this, they would give them the opportunity to create a philosophy, right? And this philosophy will be considered their child. And this is if it is considered giving birth, right? When they bring a philosophy, it is considered giving birth. This is called their son, and it's called a divine birth, a virgin birth. You understand? So she would write a book, you know, and this book, before she had married or sexual intercourse, she would communicate with the spirit or the consciousness, the divine consciousness. And she would write, she would go through initiation, she would go through the teachings, all the stuff, she would be educated. And once she educated, she will concentrate on creating a spiritual philosophy. And this spiritual philosophy will be called her child. So this makes her a virgin mother. Later on, when she gets married, she has a husband. You know, this is why you see Joseph is taking a woman who has already a child by a Holy Spirit. You understand? So Joseph marries a woman who already has a child by a Holy Spirit. She doesn't have a physical child. She created a philosophy. You understand? She went through a process, a procedure, and in this initiation procedure, she was able to create what we call Christianity. She was the author of what we call Christianity, this book. And this book was written at Sais in Kemet, Sais. This book traveled from Kemet to Alexander. She was in the temple arguing with the priest, right? And they challenged her. You know, they why, you know, doing so? But once she got married, the philosophy was no longer in her care. Once she married to this person called Joseph, the philosophy is no longer hers. It goes now to the people. They take it, they twist it around, and they turn it all types of ways. Now, I'm going to show you a different slide. Now, this is going to explain something different to you, but...
So give us a time scale. I mean, you know, give us an indication of, you know, when this story first emerged.
I think the story...
I'm getting the idea, and I'm getting the feeling that, you know, all women, all virgin women or virgin girls, when they were young, you know, they had this dialogue with the consciousness, the spirits, medium, who would give them their purpose and what their divine mission ought to be. And that's what they would then, you know, that would be their son. That would be what at some point they would give birth to. Yeah. So there was this particular individual, and her mission was to birth this book. Was it? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so are we talking 2,000 years ago as they do, or
I would say the philosophy is older. It wasn't created in 30 BC for sure, or it was created 500 years prior to that, maybe longer. Maybe it was created maybe 1,000 years prior, but it wasn't created that time. So she was not the first person to create a philosophy. She was not the first virgin mother, right? Because at Sais, there were many virgin mothers. She was just one of them, but her philosophy was what we call today Christianity, love your neighbor, all these parables that she was using in this philosophy. And then the philosophy is called Jesus. But Jesus is not, Jesus means wisdom. Jesus means wisdom, whistle. Whistle or asar or Jesus just means the wisdom, right? So the wisdom of the Spirit, or the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. She is the mother who the Holy Spirit descends upon. The Holy Spirit is the serpent. The serpent is called Allah, or the serpent is called Wajet. So Wajet descends upon her, and Wajet gives her this knowledge, and she puts it into a book, and this is what became her philosophy. So here is the etymology for the word Phoenician. So Phoenician, you see here it says reddish purple. It says the etymology of phoenix. Phoenician means phoenix, or the firebird, right? Or the palm tree. That's what it means. So the name is identical to the Greek word, which means palm tree. So you understand what is happening here, Sister Shanice? So the Greek word for Phoenician is palm tree. And then it's a reddish purple color, right? So what do you see on your screen?
Yeah,
it's a palm tree, and you see a reddish purple palm nut. You see?
Yes.
So
we can see the color of it as well.
Exactly. So this is what the people call Phoenician. So do you think now knowing what you know, do you think the Phoenicians were Europeans now?
Oh no, absolutely not. And I know they weren't anyway.
You
But
see?
the etymology of the name as well confirms that. Yeah.
So they say the palm tree bird. Listen to this, okay? The reddish purple palm tree bird. So who is the palm tree, reddish purple palm tree bird? The Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit. And I will show you some the last video before we end our lecture. I'll show you that.
Lost me on that end bit there, though.
Okay, you'll see. So
Okay.
it says the name means shining bird, right? Shining bird is what? In Kemet, there is a bird called the Ba. The Ba means Holy Spirit, right? And there is a serpent called Wajet. Wajet means the third eye, or the consciousness. That's why you see them having those serpent on their head, right? And if I were to translate it into European language, what a serpent on the head means, it means cerebrospinal fluid. That's what it means. If I were to convert that, they're wearing the serpent on their head, people call it kundalini, all that stuff. If I were to convert it into European language, it means cerebrospinal fluid that is activated. So that means the cerebrospinal fluid is activated, is heated, right? So the name can be interpreted for shining bird or the phoenix. The reddish purple bird in China is called the phoenix as well. It's called the red sunbird as well, right? The palm tree bird. It's called the palm tree bird. Phoenician bird. So this is where they get the word phoenix from, rise from the ashes, right? Do you remember in Kemet, they say, they say in the story about the phoenix, they say the phoenix will die. Do you remember it will die and then rise from the ashes?
Yes, yes.
So keep that in mind, okay? Don't forget that part. The phoenix will die and then it will rise from the ashes.
Okay, I see where it's the Holy Ghost rising. I see where we're going with this. Okay.
You see, so the ashes means you have been initiated. So if you come out of the school, you have ashes.
The old you has been burnt in the fire.
Exactly, and you have been all the iniquities of who you were, the previous version of yourself has been stripped away, and something new has come, something that cannot be altered. So something divine. So this is what Phoenician. But let's continue here. I will explain the palm tree mysteries here. So now the palm tree were a part of African history because we got palm oil soup, all this type of stuff there. I don't need to tell you about that stuff. You already know. It's been part of the African history. Palm oil was found in the tombs as a substitute for blood, right? So when they couldn't use a blood for the ritual, they would use palm oil. It would perform the same function. So it's the symbol for knowledge. The tree is the symbol for knowledge, divine wisdom, victory, calmness of spirit, and fertility. Palm trees are native to subtropical and tropical climates. Palm tree, similarly to lotus flower, palm tree and lotus flower, they grow in the same exact conditions. Okay? Palm tree are the only plants that will grow on the beach where there's a massive body of salt water. And what do? They take that salt water, they convert it to what? Coconut water, sweet water. Okay? So this is what this represents. You see this holding the third eye right there, the bird with the eye there. This represents the third eye, right? And then these four elements represent the four things that are going to be cleansed from your body when you go through initiation. Your colon, your lungs, your intestine, and those things will be cleaned out. And when you come back from the ashes, you will be Asa. You will be the wise one. So Mary, this woman goes through this initiation process. You see Mut here, the mother of the institution. You see her with Tahuti? So she goes through the initiation process, and look at the prayer. This is in the tomb of Ramesses II. So what do you see he's bowing, he's prostrating to? He's prostrating below a palm tree. And below the palm tree, what do we see? We see the ocean of water. Just like the beach and the palm tree taking the sweet water from the and taking the ocean salty water and turning it into something sweet, something that people can enjoy. So this is the symbolism of the palm tree. It represents to take some energy and change the energy. Okay? So in Kemet, the way they would pray, the way Muslims pray today, this is how Kemet people used to pray. They would, you know, when you see me greeting, I raise my hand like this is how they would greet. And then they would prostrate when they're praying to perform the actual original prayer. What Africans are doing now in the church and doing all those stuff, that's not the original prayer. The original prayer is the one I taught in my last lecture, where you have to perform those motions. Once you perform those motions, then the ancestors, the Holy Spirit or the palm tree spirit, all those things start coming towards you, okay? So now this is just, if you see the heart on the scale and you see the feather, what does the heart on the scale and the feather means? A balanced mind and a balanced heart. That's what it means.
Because you don't have it in slideshow mode, the picture is a bit small.
Okay,
so
hold up. Let
see
me
the detail. Yeah.
let me put it in slideshow mode from current slide.
Yeah.
So this is what we call now, you see on the scales of judgment, or what they call, this is not a scale of judgment where somebody is judging your sins. No, it's a scale of your level to discern, right? So you as Sister Shanice, how good is your discernment? How discerning are you? And the best discernment comes from a balanced heart and a balanced mind, right? Because if your heart is imbalanced against your mind, you make bad judgment, right? If your mind is imbalanced against your heart, you make cruel judgment. You don't care about other people. So you must balance the heart and the mind when making decisions. That's what this represents, okay? So cleaning the colon, cleaning the body and all this stuff, and then opening the third eye. So the third eye will be brought to you, and then you will become the initiated, right? So
And
this
so would all members of the society go through that kind of initiation process?
Everybody. Back then, everybody went through initiation. The initiation means education. So it means education. So it's an education that prepares you to be a part of the society. You see? So today we take our children, we just send them to school, and then they just come back, you know, no. Before, the Africans were very conscious. They didn't want their society to be destroyed. So they had to initiate their children into the society properly. So this is where Nefertum comes in. Nefertum is
and this speaks so powerfully, doesn't it, about the importance of, you know, that process of initiating our children and taking responsibility for initiating our children into, you know, the sort of society that we want to create within our communities that would ultimately grow into how we conduct our nations and how how our people conduct themselves within our nations. So something that we need to take back, you know, we really need to take back the responsibility for initiating our children. And so this is such an interesting presentation, as is being said in the chat as well. You know, all of this lost knowledge, you're bringing it back for us tonight. Thank you, Teacher Mitree. Please continue.
Yeah, so initiation is the way to prevent the child from being a problem in the society. It means education, but it means a good education. So it's soulful education, right? So the child now, when he gives the gifts to his girlfriend, he doesn't give her an iPhone. He gives her something to show the beauty of her soul. You understand? So they teach you about love. They teach you how to fight. They teach you all types of things, but they teach you, why do you fight? They explain to you, why do you fight? Right? They don't just tell you, you need to fight, you need to be, no. They say, why do we fight? Then you tell them, I fight to protect my society. I fight to protect my nation, my people. So this is called initiation, the proper way to educate.
Sorry, and just to interject there as well, that in itself is so important, because today, you know, we have armies, we have soldiers, we have police, whose job ought to be to protect society, to protect the people, and to protect the nation. But instead, they're protecting private sector interests.
Exactly.
So, our concept has been taken to, benefit the few and not the majority. And so initiating soldiers and police into this kind of mindset, and thinking is just so critical, and something I think all African countries need to reintroduce. They need to remind their armies that they are there to protect their people, their nation.
Yeah. They literally explain why we use violence, why you do this, why you do that. They don't explain, they don't just let you say things. No. They explain everything, why something must be done. Until you get a balanced heart and balanced mind, then they know that you can make good judgment. So it basically secured the society against you coming in and causing chaos, brutalizing people. It prevents you from doing all those things. Initiation is an education that really cleans the human being and makes the human being the best version of themselves. So it's education, but it's not like Western education. Rather, it's detailed human development education. So if you look at the pine cone, when a palm tree is growing, it grows a pine cone first, right? So all of you know the pine cone is called the pineal gland. You've all heard this, right? So in Kemet, the constellation Virgo, there's a constellation Virgo. If you go to Dendera, you will find the constellation Virgo. The constellation Virgo means virgin. And the virgin is holding the staff with a pine cone on it. The pine cone represents the pineal gland, right? And what do the people call the pineal gland? They call it the third eye. So literally, in Kemet, the virgin woman was called the open pineal gland. That's why she was able to, or she was associated with the third eye. That's why she was able to achieve a virgin birth, okay? Because of the third eye. So the pine cone is the symbol of this pineal gland or the third eye, as people, modern conscious people say. So you see the beach, this water there, you can't drink that water. You can't drink that water. You take a cup and you go and put it over there and drink that water, it's salty. But you see how close that tree is that next to the beach? It's going to take that water and it's going to turn it into sugar. So this is why the pine tree symbolized what it symbolized, right? Now, if we go to the Christian Bible, the book of Ezekiel, in there, why would the Christian Bible be talking about the cherubim? You know what a cherubim is? It's an angel, right? With 4 faces. So the angel has the face of a bull. Remember I told you about the men fighting with the bull, right? The angel has a face of a lion. Remember I told you about the lion, Nefertum. The angel has a face of a man. Remember I told you about the man? Then the angel has the face of an eagle. Remember the falcon, right? So they just took the story from Kemet and they put it in here. They call it a cherubim. But this is what you go through initiation for. You go through initiation to become a cherubim. You see? And it says, in the text, it says the mean hall, this prophet is describing the inner sanctuary of the temple. So the temple he's describing, this temple is called Esna in Kemet. It's called Esna in Kemet, right? And in the space above the outside of the entrance of the inner sanctuary and the wall, we were carved cherubim, the 4 faces of a man, the 4th transformation of a man, right? And palm trees. So the 4 transformations of a man and palm trees. Palm trees alternate with cherubim. Why are cherubim are called angels in Christianity? They're called angels, divine angels. And why are divine angels hanging out with palm trees, Sister Shanice?
I don't know. I'm sure you're going to tell us.
Because it's the source of what? Knowledge, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, right? So this is what they put in the book, but people think it's just a palm tree. No, it is what is the esoteric knowledge, the definition. So they were carved around the whole temple, from the floor to the area above the entrance. Cherubim and palm tree were carved. So basically what the text is saying, angels and palm trees were carved everywhere. The main hall had a rectangular door frame, and one at the front of the most holy place was similar. So do you see the most holy place in this Christian faith is the place with palm trees carved everywhere and this cherubim, angels, right? So Ezekiel goes through this dream and he tells this story. He give this whole description of palm trees and basically Nefertum, or the things that were happening through initiation. So this is a cherubim. This is a cherubim right here. A man, a lion, a bull, and an eagle. If you look at the ceiling, you will see a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle in Kemet on the temple wall at Esna, and wings. So you see the bull, the man with the bull head? You see the man with the lion head?
Yes.
And we've all seen the eagle head, and we've all seen the human head.
What's the other one? It's like a snake.
This one here is ablution or libation. It means libation. So remember, snake means water, right?
Yes.
So that's what it means. So this is their constellation in Kemet. This is their constellation. So all these constellations are basically esoteric knowledge, right? They're all esoteric knowledge. They don't mean, they're like the images, people are turned off by the images, but these images mean water. This means water. And this might be the Milky Way, the water of the Milky Way. So there's different types of, and this is, like there's different meaning. And I have these.
What if I said to you that, that snake symbol, that water symbol, can be found on some ancient stones across Europe?
Yeah, because the Africans took it there. The Africans took it there. Remember, now here's
so they were actually taking the belief system there as well.
Yeah.
Because alongside those symbols, you can see the round disc of the sun, and other symbols alongside it, the concentric circles, the Triskini circles, which is meant to represent like the Trinity or other sort of similar meanings. So yes, it's been taken.
You see the falcon? So you see the falcon, right? So we saw the bull, we saw the lion, we saw the falcon now. So this is what this cherubim is. 3 into 1, the 3 natures of man. Now let's go to the book of Judges in the Bible, the book of Judges, right? So, and Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of whatever his name is, she judged Israel at this time, and she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah. Do you see? So she dwelt under the palm tree.
Wisdom.
So now this woman is a judge, a high priestess, a prophetess. So there wasn't a man prophet like that in those days. There were women prophetess who were like that, right? And then they dwelt on the palm tree, meaning that they dwelt under the sacred knowledge, okay? The divine knowledge. So, Lepidus is a figure in the Bible mentioned in Judge 4.4. He is known as the husband of Deborah, who was a prophetess. Is the Hebrew name plural, and the name Lepidus translates to flame and torches. So flame, or the fire of the third eye, and then the husband of this woman. So this woman, basically, she had a fiery eye. She had the fiery eye of Hathor, or the fiery eye of Ra. That's why she was called a prophetess. She had a third eye, that her fire eye was flames. So they called this third eye her husband, and then she dwelt under the palm tree. So all she needs to do now is give a virgin birth, and then we would know what her philosophy is. Okay? So now we go to this flame means flame or lightning. So this woman either controlled the weather, she was either a rain goddess, or she was she had a great insight, third eye. Now, in the Quran, Mary is called the daughter of Imran, and she is called the sister of Aaron. Okay, you know who Moses is. Moses had a brother called Aaron, right? So Mary is called the sister of Aaron. Okay? Only as the wife of Imran prayed for a child and eventually conceived. So Mary was born because of the priesthood. So basically, her mom was having problem having children, right? And she went to the temple and then she prayed for a child. So this became a divine child. Okay? So when the temple gives you a child, let's say you're having problem to conceive, and the temple gives you a child, right? That child is called the child of the institution. That child become a child of the temple. So they do this in Ghana still today. They do this in many parts of Africa today, where if you go and ask for them to help you conceive, that child will be considered a child of the temple. Even the Yoruba people do it in Ile Ifa, right?
In Gambia here as well, they've got a pond where women who are having difficulty to conceive actually can go and, they put the water on them and they conceive. And if they manage to conceive, they have to give them the name of the pond. And I can't remember the name of it.
Exactly.
But all the children with that name are the ones who have been conceived.
See? So it means the child belongs to that God. So the God is part of the energy of the pond. The child belongs to that energy of the pond. So that's what it means. So Mary her mother was having problem to conceive, and Mary was taken to the temple. Her mother was taken to the temple, and her mother was able to conceive because of this temple, and that's why Mary was born special. So it's not that this Jesus person is special, it's that Mary was the special one, right? Hannah bore a daughter, instead named her Miriam. Now Miriam is the sister of Aaron. And who is Aaron in the Bible? Who is Aaron? Aaron rod is cited as give me a sec here. Aaron has this rod. Let me bring this back up. I need to read the full thing, who Aaron is. How do I turn off the slideshow?
You did a second ago, and you just put it back on again.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. You're off now. And just to say as well, we're 6 minutes away from the top of the hour. Okay. And I can tell that you've got, so much more that you want to get through. We can always invite you back to continue with a part 2 if you don't have to rush. And I haven't even had an opportunity to interact with the audience as yet, who may well have some questions, may have, some comments, but let me allow you to wrap up on this slide. And then I'll have a conversation with you afterwards. If you want to come back, we can open up the sessions with questions, do a brief recap, get questions, and then, continue so that you have the time to wrap up on this really interesting presentation. Wow. Okay, let me allow you to continue this slide.
So Aaron, right? Mary is the sister of Aaron. Who is Aaron? Aaron is the staff of the serpent. Right? Aaron cast down his rod and it became a serpent. So remember the story of Moses and Aaron is the brother of Moses. Basically, the rod is called the brother of Moses, the rod that had the serpent. And when Aaron the entire time is not Moses who's throwing the staff down or Moses who's doing things in the Bible. If you go read the Bible, it's actually Aaron who throws the staff down and the staff become a serpent. It's actually Aaron who does this. So Aaron was the name of the staff or the serpent, right? That consciousness. So this is what this would be talking about. That's why it says Mary was the sister of Aaron, means that she was the sister of consciousness, divine consciousness. Okay? And that's what that is referring to. So in the story now, it says when Mary was giving birth to the divine, to the baby, basically she sat under a palm tree, right? And then she shook the palm tree, and then she was able to give birth miraculously under a palm tree. Okay, so this would be the, I will say we stop here. There was a video of the Congo, and he talks about the sacred palm tree in the creation story. So this is the Bakongo religion. And in this one, he talks about the sacred palm tree, the spiral. So in Africa, the serpent is the spiral, the palm tree is the spiral. So the spiral is, if you look at the hair, when they carved the hair of Black people in Kemet and everywhere else, in the Hittites or other groups, right, in Mesopotamia, the hair of the Persians, it's spiral. They cut it in a spiral motion because the spiral is the symbol of the creator of the African people. You see? So that is why the spiral became so important in the African people's culture, their lens. So that will conclude the presentation. You know,
3 minutes away from the top of the hour. What an interesting presentation. I've got my notes here. I learned so much, starting from, you know, that really important role of the woman. Oh my gosh, absolutely phenomenal. But let me welcome the audience. Thank you all so much for keeping it locked. What a presentation it has been. Let me quickly zoom in and see if we've got any comments here in the chat. Yes, we've got Brother Kwame Aboje in the house, who's been making lots of comments. Thank you so much. He said, Teacher Mitree, do you think the original African Heritage Bible is the real thing, or then the King James Version? Joseph is saying, injects in more fire, master teacher. So inject more fire. So wanting you to blaze up the place with more fire. Mundana is in the house. Rise up. He's saying palm tree in DR Congo and palm wine is sacred and helps wake up spirits. Ka of the ancestors, the dead. Impressive. From young brother Mitree, vast spiritual knowledge. Rise up, brother Mandela. Good to have you in the house. Rise up, Brother Cheesy, as well in the house. To everybody in the house, did you know about the palm oil in the Congo and its sacred relevance there? Teacher Mitree, another important link.
I found out recently that the Congo, like 2 days ago, I found out that the Congo, it was sacred to them. But previously, I wasn't aware of it, but I found out 2 days ago.
See, more connections. Like you said, so many connections, so much similarity in the culture and in the stories, yet, you know, very disconnected. That we don't know it all. S.A. Smith is just blown away. She's like, wow. Papa Cheesy, good to see you in the house. Haven't seen your name pop up for a while. And it's always great to hear from you. Right. What's the time? Oh my gosh, we're 1 minute away from the top of the hour. Apologies if you've got any questions and we haven't been able to answer them. Oh, Sister Betty's in the house as well. Good to see you there. And to all of those commenting, let me scroll back, see if I can pull out a quick questions, interesting facts. Someone's saying, essentially, collectively, we are so off balance today because we were disconnected from the ways and wisdoms of our ancient ancestors. I mean, that sounds like a lot of truths in there. Joseph saying, Africans shall be awakened. Peace be upon our ancestors and the perfect dark ones. Nikoya, Papa Cheesy, you know, rise up, rise up. Sister Afro Jamo's in the house and giving lots of fire. Family, if you haven't given us a thumbs up and a like, please do so as well. And share this message afterwards. Leave a comment below the video as we end today's session. Please go back in and leave a comment. Let people know why you think they ought to watch and listen to what Brother Teacher Mitree has been saying here. But wow, the glorious role of the woman.
Sister
going
Shani,
right
are you,
to
are you
how.
planning on getting a horse to go start another kingdom? Are you planning on?
Well, you know what, I don't want to start another kingdom, but I think today it's about starting, it's about pushing a philosophy, isn't it? You know, the land has pretty much been sown up, whereas back in the days you probably could ride and, you know, you find some vacant land where no one's occupying it, and you can start up your village, which grows into a town, which grows into a city, grows into a nation. But now, I think, apart from the Antarctica, the world's pretty much kind of locked down, isn't it?
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, but in terms of spreading an ideology, this is the one to spread, the African paradigm, the organic African paradigm, which takes us back to the ways and the wisdom of our Asian ancestors. And with that, family, please do share. Brother Teacher Mitree, I'll call you doctor there. I think you deserve the title of doctor. Absolutely phenomenal. Let me know if you can come back next strong. Check your diary. We want to continue with a part 2. Okay?
Okay.
One love. Sister Shanice out of here for now. Thank you, family. Stay strong, stay powerful, and rewatch this video.